Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from whichever part of the world you are logging in to this podcast today. This is Shantanu Kelkar. I welcome you to our podcast on transforming small and medium business manufacturing for a competitive advantage. It's a part of a series of podcasts we intend to do, especially focusing on ideas where strategy meets execution. um, for those celebrating Diwali these days, wish you all a happy Diwali as well. So my name is Shantanu. As I said, I'm the founder of 1.618 Business Consulting. I have about 20 plus years of experience in the automation world as well as the management consulting world, in which I have helped businesses design and deploy actionable strategies for growth throughout the regions globally. Aniket, you want to quickly
Yes,
introduce yourselves before we begin?
absolutely. Thanks, Shantanu. Hello, everyone, and happy Diwali. I know this broadcast is broadcasted everywhere, all around the world. So, a very good afternoon and good morning to everyone, and happy Diwali. I'm Aniket Bakchore. I'm a supply chain robotics specialist with 15 years experience with driving operational excellence at global companies. Including Amazon, Cummins. I've worked there for extensive time. And then I'm excited to share this stage with Shantanu to dive in today's topic, which is all about SMB manufacturer uh, and how they can tackle challenges and embrace digital transformation strategically. So let's get started.
Yeah, I think a very pertinent topic, Aniket, for companies operating both in India and in the US. You are based out of the US these days.
Yeah.
I'm based out of India, and what we see in our parts of the world are small medium businesses facing a rapidly changing landscape. What we'll try to do today is we'll uncover initially a few challenges that we think the SMBs face the most these days, and then we'll try to share some actionable frameworks and try to answer as much as we can the big questions on how can SMBs transform in a phased and ROI driven manner uh, over the period of their digital transformation journey, right, Aniket?
Yep.
So, and we'll try to keep it
100%.
more
And let's start
conversational,
with that.
practical. Yeah,
Yeah. No, and that's why we want it to be a conversation so that it is very interactive. And if folks are there already joining, so feel free to put in a chat or any questions you have so we can respond. But let's get
right,
started,
exactly.
Shantanu. What's the big question we
Yeah,
are facing?
yeah. So you tell me. I think what we feel, what we see, as I said, in this part of the world, there are some common challenges that SMBs face. In SMBs, particularly in the manufacturing world, they are facing. Um, you could take us through some of those big challenges, and let's go to them one by one and see, how do we
Mhm.
tackle them.
Absolutely. So for SMBs, I can speak about SMBs in US. The skilled labor shortage is by far the biggest challenge. I think the
Hmm.
60% of the manufacturers cite as their number one issue. And you add that into the supply chain volatility, inflation driven margin pressures, and then fragmentation of tech adoption. That's like entire all of your most of your problems that they face, and you got that lot of complexity to manage.
Yeah, I think the picture is equally challenging for SMBs in India as well. Now, some of these statistics obviously would differ, but then even in India, you see 70% of Indian micro, small, and medium enterprises, they lack this basic uh, digital structure or digital literacy, which makes it even harder for them to even start their transformation journey. You know, to add to that, there are infrastructure bottlenecks. You have challenges in getting reliable power supplies. It gets down to the tactical things quite
Yeah.
quickly. But you see very similar set of challenges here in this part of the world as well, and eventually it all shows up in their bottom line. It increases their
100%.
cost significantly. when it comes to embarking on these digital transformation journeys.
100%. Yeah, and despite these differences, there's one thing these SMBs in both markets have in common. They need to embrace, face the digital transformation, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Without that, I mean, they risk falling behind competitors, and I think who are leveraging technology to drive this efficiency and growth. They this is their opportunity to embrace this technology, and then go for a brighter future, because the we'll go into the next slides and you see that the case is very compelling and very promising.
Yeah, and it is an oft-repeated statement, but it's not really a question of if now, it's a question of when and how.
100.
So if you talk about it in terms of opportunity costs, then the costs of not doing digital transformation or not doing these things, or the cost of inaction essentially is much higher than the cost of transformation. So even if you're a purely finance person looking at multiple options with a very ROI focused lens, you will see that the cost that you will incur by just letting things be as they are working today is going to be significantly higher than what your investments are going to be in the digital transformation part, right?
Very.
So let's talk about that's opportunity side of the equation.
Yeah.
Let's look at the kind of productivity gains the SMBs might unlock through digital transformation. I think that's the first step we could potentially look into.
100%, Shantanu. And that so you can see this on this slide. The numbers are staggering. SMBs with partial tech adoption, what we call digital challenges, they see 50% higher productivity and sales compared to the laggards. So, and for digital business, productivity doubles. That's a 200% increase compared to the traditional
Hmm.
SMBs. That's a very compelling case.
Interesting. And as I was saying, if even if you were to look at it from a purely financial perspective, there's those numbers themselves are staggering. I can see there's uh, digitizing the core operations even for SMBs in India, for example, can potentially unlock 550 billion to $1 trillion worth of value,
Yeah.
just by the estimates that exists today. So
Yes.
it's a staggering number. There's a lot of potential in that to be achieved.
100%. And these are all these numbers are from the credible sources. We have added those sources down in the slides, and we'll share this slide best in our post later on. But yeah, as I 100% agree with you, Shantanu, SMBs
Mhm.
don't need to go all in immediately. I think the phase approach, starting with foundational technology like cloud ERP and then scaling up, it can deliver significant ROI at every stage.
Yeah, that's a great point because, again, based on what I have seen working with companies globally, especially in the manufacturing, in the industrial sector, I think one key point of failure is that more often than not, they try to bite what more than that they can chew. Just to put it in that rudimentary fashion,
Yes.
it's essentially trying to do all of it or everything in one go just to achieve some very highly ambitious. But what they probably miss the point is it's not going to work if they are going to take all those 100 steps in one go. They have to take it step by step. They have to first get started, take the first step, and essentially break down the problem into those phases, and then you know plan for that phased approach eventually to the ambitious target that they have set for themselves. So I think what you are showing here is a good concise way of going through that phased
Hmm.
approach. So
Yeah,
could you
let's
elaborate on
expand
that
on
a
that.
bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the level one, as you can see, it's a build innovation. This is about digitizing the core operations. So SMBs can start with cloud-based ERP systems, unifying data
Mm.
and digitizing the workflows. In US, I've seen this might also include deploying cobots to address labor shortages. And I think, yeah, Shantanu, you can speak to India, but I think I've seen like maybe I don't know whether you agree or not. Leveraging government initiatives like UPI and ONDCs
Absolutely.
can help SMBs get started. What do you think about it?
No, absolutely. See, the thing is that more often than not, a company thinking about digitalization or digital transformation might think about their core processes upfront, because obviously they would want to see where they can apply these digital initiatives in the core production process. But I think there is a lot of value to be derived even on secondary and tertiary processes and systems. So in order to reach to that overall objective of a truly digital enterprise, what they can essentially start looking at it is these additional systems and processes where they can bring in more digitalization. It could be their e-commerce system, it could be inventory management system, which could they could try and digitize. So there are many avenues where even Indian SMBs, although it might sound very um, costly to do, but there are pockets in the overall enterprise where they can start with digital initiatives.
100%. Yeah, good point. And as you walk through this, like, level three, first is build foundation, then optimize it using IoT sensors and analytics. Yeah, and then you go into the level three, which is innovation, where you can integrate cobots,
Mm,
advanced automations, AI demand forecasting, and all that. We'll cover that in the next slide. But yeah, this basically is a roadmap and timeline. We are talking about 6 to 12 months, and or in some cases, depending on the use cases and their internal structure, it can be 12 to 24 months, like 2 years. In the level two, and then level three can take like 24 to 36 months in the in
mm.
the overall timeline
No, I
scenario.
think,
So
yeah.
I don't see this is as a go ahead. Yeah.
Mm.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I was
No,
just
that's right.
completing. Yeah, I don't see this as a big hinder in why SMBs would not invest into this or embrace this technology and digital transformation for their benefit.
No, absolutely. The timelines that you show here and the phased approach, I think any SMB thinking of creating a sustainable long-term business should not think twice about investing these 18 to 24 months in really creating the base for a company which keeps pace with times, which grows, as the market grows or as the technology grows. And for that, I think one key area is don't forget about building a strong foundation. I think again, one pitfall that I have seen with many companies is a lot of these ideas and initiatives are top driven. They are pushed top to bottom. They decide that we want to digitize X amount of processes, and then they maybe start off at some top level, which doesn't really have any impact on the day-to-day practical operations of the company. I think
Hmm.
it's exactly in the reverse way that the companies should think about it. They should first look at the foundation, start off where it matters the most, and I think we'll look at some of those statistics in upcoming
Yeah,
slides.
yeah,
But I think that's important. Don't forget about building a strong foundation for that digital transformation.
yeah.
Mm.
Very good
So
point.
let's make it real for the listeners today. You have an example of any US SMB you can share who
Yeah,
has or has achieved quick wins in this.
yeah, yeah. I've seen. I mean, I've worked in different companies, but the real challenge I see is the, like, the predictive maintenance, and whenever they invest a lot in the equipments, and automating certain workflows, but they, as you rightly said, they do not they do not think the problem from ground up. They always look
Mm,
at from the top to bottom, and then
mm,
that's where the I see strategic failures happen. Investments do not return into ROI. You have to look into, like, start from ground up. You have to look those use cases, how they are operation on the ground, uh, and then start working, making the digital transformation right from there. Then involve people, train them, bring them together with this journey. Yeah, any change is not going to be easy, and you have to, like, it's not going to be a quick fix. And that's why the timeline
mm,
that I showed in the previous slide, it's very, very, it speaks to itself. um,
correct.
but now in this slide, I just want to, focus on this part of, like, you can see before and after.
Mm,
Before it was fragmented, you can see, like, a lot of issues about, your production, sales excels and finance, uh, or, take example of production paper. There are all lot of errors that are, before you have this digital transformation. And once you integrate all these systems, you see the
mm,
real ROI. You can see the numbers speak to itself. 40% increase in order processing efficiencies. This is the digital inventory system that they've implemented. You can see 25% reduction in excess inventory, which is almost $800,000 annual saving, which is big for SMB manufacturer. It's a good gain for their bottom line.
right.
And then the last one, 50% increase in sales without adding a single headcount. So that's a biggie. You want to
No,
expand? You
absolutely.
want to add anything, Shantanu, on that?
Yeah, no, and I might add something from an Indian perspective as well.
Yeah.
Obviously the processes, the technology adoption levels are going to be a bit different. But as I said, they can always find a room to start their journey. They can always find a spot. They can look at their end-to-end order management process, for example. Use e-commerce or use digitized payments and drive that end-to-end order management process. Or they could be looking at some of their more capital-intensive equipment and see if they can digitize those using sensors, IoT sensors, etc., for vibration monitoring, or they could use those sensors for product quality monitoring. There are so many ways which currently are sort of a blind spot for the
Hmm.
manufacturers. Uh, they don't get enough data about the process in order to manage it. As they say, if you cannot manage what you cannot measure. So
100%.
one way to look at it is try and see what are those blind spots in your processes, and try to start the digitization there, start to get more data there. I can quickly quote uh, one example, not essentially in the manufacturing sector, but I recently read this case study about Manyavar. It's a
Mhm.
leading Indian ethnic wear brand
Yeah.
in India, and they have set themselves so apart from competition in a very quick time, purely based on data management. They have
Wow.
digitized their products. They know exactly what size of that Indian wear, what color, what texture is preferred in which city, down to the pin code of that city. So they can tell you that in this city, in this pin code, this is the sort of demand profile
Wow.
that exists. And it's all because of the way that they have digitized their products, they have digitized their processes, and they have initiated digitization in the right places. So I think it's a very good learning for even Indian SMBs. There are so many blind spots in their processes today. They can use a host of digital initiatives to at least start measuring those to begin with.
Wow, great. Yeah, thanks for mentioning that case study. Yeah, it's fascinating, and it's
Yeah,
very encouraging that, even small businesses like that. I mean, they are scaling and how they are thinking about digital transformation as a real
absolutely.
productivity gainer. So great. Yeah. Let's talk about this slide. Wait, before we, like, talk. There are two
Mm,
slides left, but I think this is what I was mentioning, like predictive maintenance flow. This is huge gain for a digital, you know, getting into a digitized digital transformation, because as the IoT sensor, you can get the real time data. You can feed into the ML algorithms. You can set up some alerts to avoid any downtime, unproductive downtimes, and that's a
Mm,
real gainer. Like, you can see the data itself, 25 to 30% gain, with using these IoTs and this digital um, system, digital architecture itself. It's a huge gainer. Your unplanned downtime is reduced by 15% with IoT, and then predictive planned is 50%. It's
mm,
These are the big facilities. These are, like, backed up by this research. So very, very evident that why SMBs should think about digital transformation and what are their big savings. You want to add anything
that's
in here, Shantanu?
No, I think the numbers are so compelling. Even if we were to take one, from an SMB's perspective, any small medium business owner, founder, entrepreneur listening to this, even if you were to think of using this as a basis and even achieving 50% of this kind of transformation in terms of percentage. I think it's a big upside on productivity, a big upside on savings, a big upside on the top line as well. So it has an impact across the P&L. If you think about the business as a P&L, it has an impact across the top line, the cost of goods, the fixed costs, and the inventory costs, your supply chain costs. You can have an impact on each and every aspect of that. So I think a great example to sort of um, put put all that in perspective.
Yeah.
So let's talk about one big takeaway for our listeners then.
Yeah,
How do
absolutely.
you want to put it?
Yeah, no. In terms of big takeaway for me, it's digital transformation is no longer optional. It's a price of
Mm.
entry for a competitive survival. So start small. Build sequentially, measure relentlessly.
No, that's right. It doesn't have to be all in
Correct.
sort of a bet. You can focus on specific, as I said, areas in the business where you think there are relatively more black spots, there are relatively more blind spots. You probably don't know everything about the process that you need to know. And once you start measuring that, once you start having more visibility, I think visibility is the key. You could
Yes.
probably use digitization as a means to improve visibility across your operations. And once you do that, I think it will then lead to your second and third phase that you mentioned earlier, the optimize and
Hmm.
innovate phase. So just take it step by step, just but make sure that you build a strong foundation. You know why you're doing it. It's not because you have to do it. It's not because all of these reports and surveys are saying that everyone needs to embrace digitization. It's not because of that. You really need to sit back and see what areas of the business really need that change, and just focus on that to begin with.
Well said, Shantanu. Yeah, and with that, I think we're wrapping up our today's episode. If you find this valuable, share it with your network and let us know your thoughts. And yeah, Shantanu, you wanna
Yes, thank
add
you.
in
Yes,
anything?
thank you for tuning in, everyone who is here, and even everyone who is going to listen to this afterwards. This is going to be there for posterity as well. So, all the best to everyone in building a more resilient, a more future-ready business by themselves. Until next time, I hope you have a good time, you have a good day. Take care, be safe
Thank you so much, Shantanu. Yeah. All right, everyone. Signing off. Take care.
for now. Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.